Stop what you are doing right now. Listen closely, because God is speaking. And this is a message you cannot afford to ignore. God said, you must watch this before anything else. There is urgency in His voice, and it is a call that reaches deep into the soul. Do not let distractions, doubts, or fears keep you from hearing the words God has prepared for you. Everything you are holding on to, every plan you have made, every struggle that has kept you awake at night, God sees it, and God is ready to transform it. This is not a message of chance. It is a command of purpose. If you hear nothing else today, hear this: God is calling you to rise, to awaken, and to receive what has been waiting for you. You may be weary. You may be feeling that life has passed you by, that doors remain closed, and that opportunities are slipping through your hands. But God says, I see your struggle. I see your pain. I know the weight you carry. The burdens you have thought were too heavy to bear are not too heavy for God. There is power in listening, in paying attention to the voice of God in moments when the world is noisy and chaos surrounds you. You must not delay. Your attention is required now, because God is about to do what only God can do in your life. Miracles are not coincidences. They are declarations of His will. And He has declared that today something extraordinary will happen for you. Look at your life honestly. Where have you been relying on yourself instead of God? Where have you leaned on the opinions of others, the fleeting promises of the world, instead of trusting the eternal power of God? God is calling you to stop. Stop the endless striving. Stop the fear that tells you you are not enough. Stop the doubt that whispers lies into your heart. God says you must watch this before anything else, because your breakthrough cannot wait. Your destiny cannot wait. I am ready to show you the path I have prepared for you. Every moment you delay listening, you are delaying the arrival of blessings, the opening of doors, the revelation of truths that God has hidden for this very season of your life. Do not underestimate the power of God's timing. There is a divine orchestration behind every circumstance you face, and God's timing is perfect. You may feel late, left behind, or forgotten, but nothing in your life is outside of God's sight. God is weaving together the threads of your story in ways you cannot yet see, and He is about to reveal it to you. But first, you must hear, you must pause, you must give full attention, for in the moment you do, everything changes. Your mind will be renewed, your heart will be awakened, your spirit will rise. This is why God said you must watch this before anything else, because your life, your calling, and your future demand it. God sees the battles you fight alone. He knows the silent tears you have shed. He knows the prayers whispered in the midnight hours, the fears you have hidden from the world. But God is telling you today, I am here. I am not silent. I am not distant. I am ready to intervene. The power of God is not distant. It is near. It is immediate. It is capable of moving mountains, breaking chains, and delivering you from every stronghold. But the first step begins with your attention. The first step begins with your obedience. When God commands your focus, do not resist. Align your heart, align your mind, align your life, and watch as the impossible becomes inevitable. You may be asking, why now? Why this moment? God knows exactly why. God sees that you are on the verge of giving up. God knows that you are tired of waiting. God knows that you have been praying for answers and have not yet received them. But God says, do not turn away. Do not delay. I am about to do something that will make all the waiting worth it. This is not a time for hesitation or distraction. This is a moment that will define your faith, solidify your trust, and launch you into the destiny that God has already written for you. The struggles you have faced are not punishments. They are preparations. The delays you have endured are not denials. They are designs of God's perfect plan. And now, God is ready to show you that nothing, no circumstance, no human limitation can stand against His will. There is a divine message embedded in this moment, a revelation that is designed to awaken your spirit and ignite your faith. God says, open your heart fully, open your mind fully, open yourself to the truths I am about to reveal. This is not ordinary advice. This is not empty encouragement. This is a command from the Creator of the universe, a call to recognize your purpose and step into it with courage, clarity, and unwavering faith. Everything you have been waiting for, your breakthrough, your healing, your provision, your restoration, is tied to the attention you give right now. God's voice cannot be postponed. God's will cannot be delayed. Your destiny cannot be postponed. Do you feel the weight of the world pressing down on your shoulders? God sees it. God knows the nights when sleep has evaded you, when anxiety has wrapped its hands around your heart, when you have wondered if life would ever shift in your favor. God is not distant. God is not indifferent. God is aware of every tear, every sigh, every silent prayer you have uttered in desperation. And now, God says, you must watch this before anything else, because the chains that have bound you are about to fall. The darkness that has clouded your mind is about to lift. And the victories I have prepared for you will manifest in ways that cannot be ignored. Do not allow your eyes to wander to distractions. Do not allow your ears to be deaf to the divine call. There are voices everywhere in this world. Voices of doubt, voices of fear, voices of compromise. But the voice of God is louder than them all. It is powerful, piercing, undeniable. It reaches into the very core of your being, into the place where only God can touch. This is a voice of truth. This is a voice of purpose. This is a voice that cannot be silenced. And if you have been waiting for confirmation, waiting for proof, waiting for a sign that God is with you, this moment is it. This moment is the sign. This moment is the revelation that God has been preparing all along. Do you know why God commands you to focus now? Because God's timing is perfect. And God knows that your faith is at a tipping point. There comes a time in every life when God says, enough of distractions, enough of delay. Look at me, listen to me, act on me. You may have been leaning on your own strength, following your own plans, seeking solutions in the wrong places. But God says, it is time to stop relying on your own understanding. It is time to surrender fully. It is time to awaken to the power that I have placed inside you, to the purpose that I have written into your life, and to the destiny that I have designed for you before you were even born. Every struggle you have endured, every door that has closed, every no you have received, every disappointment that has threatened to steal your hope, they were not failures. They were God's way of preparing you for a breakthrough that cannot be achieved by human effort alone. You may look back and see pain, but God looks forward and sees preparation. You may see obstacles, but God sees opportunities. You may feel small, weak, or unworthy, but God sees greatness. God sees potential that is untapped, power that is unclaimed, and favor that is waiting to be released. This is why you must watch this message before anything else. Because the words you hear here are not ordinary, they are divine. They are a key to unlock what God has already decreed for you. They are the spark that will ignite faith where doubt has resided. They are the hammer that will shatter fear, the light that will pierce darkness, the sword that will cut the rough, every stronghold in your life. God is not asking you to hope. God is demanding your attention so that your faith can rise, your spirit can awaken, and your destiny can align with the eternal plan that God has for you. Let me tell you something about patience. Many of you have prayed, fasted, and waited. You have watched seasons pass, wondering if God has forgotten you. But God has not forgotten. God is never late. God is never slow. God moves with precision, with wisdom, with knowledge far beyond your understanding. There is a divine order to every moment, every struggle, every encounter. God sees the beginning and the end simultaneously. And God knows exactly when to act so that the victory will be complete, undeniable, and transformative. Your waiting is not wasted. Your tears are not unnoticed. Your struggles are not in vain. God has been shaping your life, molding your heart, and preparing a reality that only God can produce. And now God is calling you to take the next step. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when circumstances feel right, but now. God says, this is the moment. Watch, listen, receive. Do not hesitate. Your breakthrough is not dependent on chance, but on focus. Your miracle is not dependent on luck, but on alignment with God's will. Your destiny is not dependent on human timing, but on divine orchestration. And when you give God your full attention, when you allow your spirit to be fully attuned to the voice of God, what was once impossible becomes inevitable. God sees the hidden corners of your life, the parts you do not show to anyone else. God knows the secrets you carry, the regrets that weigh heavily on your heart, the burdens you thought were yours alone. God sees them all, and God says, bring them to me. Lay them down, release them, for I am capable of transforming every failure, every mistake, every weakness into power, purpose, and destiny. There is nothing in your life too broken, too complicated, or too late for God to restore. But the first step is obedience. The first step is attention. The first step is saying, God, I am listening. I am ready. I am open. Many of you have been living half awake, half alive, distracted by the temporary and the trivial. God is calling you to full awareness, full awakening, full alignment. Every second you waste in distraction is a second delayed from receiving the glory that God wants to pour into your life. God's power is not limited by circumstances, restricted by opinions, or delayed by failures. God's power is eternal, unstoppable, and available to you. But only if you listen, only if you obey, only if you position yourself to receive it. And do not be afraid of what God might require of you. Sometimes God's call demands that you leave the familiar, step away from comfort, and rise into a new level of faith. But fear not, for God's presence goes with you. God does not call you to a journey without equipping you for it. Every strength, every resource, every wisdom you need has already been placed within you by God. You must only recognize it, activate it, and trust it. God says, do not fear the unknown, for I am with you. Do not dread the future, for I am your guide. Do not despair in trials, for I am your deliverer. Every person watching this has a purpose, a mission, and a destiny that is unique. There is no one else in the world who can fulfill what God has designed you to do. There are no substitutes. There are no replacements. God has placed you strategically in this time, in this season, in this place, for this exact moment. And when you give God your full attention, when you align your heart, mind, and spirit with the will of God, you will see doors open that were never visible, paths appear that were hidden, and opportunities manifest that were once unimaginable. God is calling you to awaken to a reality you have not yet dared to believe. There is a divine urgency in this moment, a calling that cannot be postponed, a revelation that cannot be ignored. God says, you must watch this before anything else, because what I am about to do in your life is not ordinary, it is extraordinary. What I am about to release into your spirit will shift your mind, ignite your heart, and awaken your soul to a level of purpose you have never known. This is not a message of hope alone. It is a decree. It is a command to open your eyes, to lift your heart, and to embrace the power of God that surrounds you. Have you noticed how often life tests your faith at the exact moment you feel weakest? God does this intentionally, not to break you, but to reveal to you the strength that has always been inside you, the resilience that has always been within your spirit, and the power that only God can unleash through you. Every trial, every challenge, every circumstance that has seemed too difficult to bear is a preparation for the moment you are in now. God is revealing that the obstacles were not meant to defeat you. They were meant to define you. They were meant to awaken you to the reality that nothing can stop what God has ordained. Stop list. Inning to the voices of doubt, the whispers of fear, and the echoes of past failures. God is louder than all of them combined. God is speaking to you now in a way that cannot be ignored, in a way that demands action. God says, I am calling you to attention because your breakthrough is at hand. I am calling you to faith because your miracle is ready. I am calling you to alignment because your destiny is about to unfold. This is not a moment to be casual about. This is a moment to rise, to respond, and to step into the fullness of God's plan for your life. You may feel overwhelmed by the enormity of what God is asking, but God does not call the equipped. God equips the called. There is nothing in your life too broken, too small, or too complicated for God to restore, to multiply, and to elevate. Every failure you have endured is being transformed into fuel for your victory. Every disappointment is being transformed into preparation for your destiny. Every delay is a divine appointment, orchestrated by God to ensure that when your breakthrough comes, it will be undeniable, unstoppable, and irreversible. Do you understand that God's attention to your life is constant? While the world may have overlooked you, while circumstances may have ignored you, God has not. God has been aware of every silent cry, every whispered prayer, every thought of surrender that you have harbored in your heart. And now God says, the time of waiting is over. The time of doubt is over. The time of fear is over. I am ready to act in your favor, to pour out blessings, to establish your purpose, and to fulfill the promises I have written for your life. This is a divine call to awaken your faith, to activate your spirit, and to align your will with God's will fully and without hesitation. Many of you have been living under limitations that were never meant to define you. You have been looking at what you cannot change instead of focusing on the power of God that can change everything. You have been counting your obstacles instead of counting on God. But God says, your limitations are not final. Your setbacks are not permanent. Your failures are not your end. I am God, and I am greater than every challenge, stronger than every chain, and more faithful than every delay. When you place your full attention on God, when you commit your heart and mind to the divine plan, mountains that once seemed immovable will crumble, walls that once seemed unbreakable will fall, and paths that once seemed closed will open in ways that cannot be explained by human reasoning. It is time to awaken to your purpose. God has designed a unique mission for your life, a calling that is distinct, powerful, and impactful. No one else can fulfill what you are meant to accomplish. There is no substitution, no replacement, no one who can walk in your steps or bear your assignment. God has placed you in this season for a reason. God has prepared you for this hour. God has positioned you to receive, to act, and to overcome. The question is, will you respond with obedience? Will you respond with courage? And will you respond with faith? God says your response now will determine the fulfillment of your destiny. Do not delay. Do not hesitate. Do not doubt. Faith is not passive. Faith is not idle. Faith is active, powerful, and alive. It requires attention, focus, and action. When God commands your attention, it is not a suggestion. It is a directive to align yourself with divine power. Your miracles are not distant, they are immediate. Your breakthrough is not optional, it is ordained. Your destiny is not a dream, it is reality waiting to manifest. God says, I am here, I am with you, I am ready to move. All I require is your focus, your obedience, and your unwavering belief that what I have spoken will come to pass. And know this, there is no force in this universe that can prevent what God has ordained. Neither fear, nor doubt, nor opposition can stop the work of God in your life. The enemy may try to delay, distract, or discourage, but God's will is unstoppable. God's plan is unshakable. God's promise is unbreakable. When God says that this moment is for you, nothing can take it away. Your attention, your focus, your faith, and your obedience are the keys to unlocking the divine power that God has reserved for this season of your life. God sees every sacrifice you have made. God knows the prayers you have prayed without receiving visible answers. God understands the patience you have cultivated in silence, and God honors it. But God says, do not wait for approval from the world. Do not seek validation from others. Do not measure your faith by what you see or hear from the natural realm. Your breakthrough is spiritual first, and it will manifest in the natural according to my perfect plan. This is why God says you must watch this before anything else, because attention to God is the first step toward revelation, the first step toward breakthrough, the first step toward fulfillment. You have been underestimating the power of God's presence in your life. God is not passive. God is not distant. God is not indifferent. God is active. God is intentional. God is present in every heartbeat, every decision, every circumstance. When you give God your focus, when you give God your obedience, and when you give God your faith, the extraordinary becomes ordinary. Doors that have been closed forever will open. Chains that have bound you will break. Mountains that have blocked your path will crumble. God's favor, power, and provision will be released, not because of your strength, but because of God's might. There is a moment in life when you realize that everything you have relied on, the plans you have made, the people you have trusted, the strength you have counted on is not enough. That moment is now. God says, I am enough. I am the source. I am the power behind every step you take, every decision you make, and every breakthrough you need. Do not settle for anything less than the fullness of God's presence. Do not accept temporary solutions when eternal provision is at hand. Your life is far too valuable, your calling far too significant, and your destiny far too crucial to ignore the voice of God. God knows that the enemy has tried to whisper lies into your heart to convince you that hope is lost, that your prayers have gone unheard, that your life has no purpose. But God says these lies will not prevail. I have seen every tear. I have counted every moment of despair. I have heard every silent cry, and I will overturn every limitation, shatter every obstacle, and release every blessing I have prepared for you. When you fully understand the depth of God's power, you will stop looking for answers in the natural and begin to see the supernatural manifesting in your life. This is a divine promise. When God speaks, the universe aligns. When God acts, nothing can resist. Do you realize that your attention is a sacred offering? The focus of your heart, the alignment of your mind, and the obedience of your spirit are the keys that unlock the unseen realms where God works. God says, I am ready to move, but you must give me space, you must give me attention, you must give me faith unshaken by doubt, unwavering despite fear, and unshakable regardless of circumstances. Every second you spend half-focused, distracted, or divided is a second you delay your breakthrough. Your destiny requires full alignment with God's will, full surrender to God's power, and full trust in God's timing. There are doors in your life that have remained closed for years, doors you thought were permanently locked, opportunities you believed were lost forever. God says, they are not lost. They were never beyond my reach. I have held them for you until you were ready. I have prepared you for these doors. I have strengthened you for these challenges. I have positioned you for these blessings. The delay was not denial. The struggle was not rejection. The pain was not punishment. Every hardship, every waiting period, every test has been a divine preparation to ensure that when your breakthrough comes, it is complete, undeniable, and eternal. Faith is the currency of the supernatural. It is the key that unlocks the impossible. God says, do not rely on your understanding. Do not rely on human logic. Do not rely on what you see in the natural realm. My power is beyond your comprehension. My wisdom surpasses all knowledge, and my ability to act is infinite. The moment you step into absolute faith, the moment you give God your complete trust, the moment you release fear and doubt, the doors of the supernatural swing wide open. What was once invisible becomes visible. What was once unreachable becomes attainable. What was once impossible becomes inevitable. God's plans for you are not small. They are not ordinary. They are not average. They are extraordinary, supernatural, and eternal. The life you have been dreaming of, the peace you have been longing for, the purpose you have been seeking, all of it has already been written by God, and all of it is within your grasp. But you must be attentive. You must be alert. You must be ready to receive. God says, I am calling you to focus. I am calling you to awaken. I am calling you to align your spirit with my will. Do not delay, for the moment you hesitate, you postpone the blessings I have prepared. Your past is not your future. Your failures do not define you. Your mistakes are not permanent. God says, I make all things new. I restore what has been broken. I redeem what has been lost. I will turn every sorrow into joy, every setback into a setup, and every trial into triumph. There is power in recognizing that God's plan is greater than any human circumstance. There is freedom in releasing control and surrendering to God's authority. There is life in allowing God to be the architect of your destiny, the designer of your path, and the provider of your every need. Now is the time to rise above fear. Now is the time to release doubt. Now is the time to embrace the power that God has placed within you. God says, do not let the opinions of the world dictate your faith. Do not let the limitations of the human mind dictate your actions. Do not let past disappointments define your present. I am God, and I am greater than every challenge you face, stronger than every obstacle, and faithful to fulfill every promise I have spoken over your life. Every blessing you are waiting for requires alignment with God. Every miracle requires focus, faith, and obedience. Every breakthrough requires total surrender to God's will. God is not asking for a part of your attention. God is demanding your complete devotion. God is not asking for partial faith. God is demanding unwavering trust. God is not asking for half-hearted action. God is commanding obedience in every area of your life. The moment you respond fully, the moment you surrender completely, the moment you obey entirely, you will see the power of God move in ways that defy explanation, defy limitation, and defy human understanding. Your life has a purpose that is eternal. Your calling has a power that is infinite. Your destiny has a magnitude that is beyond measure. God says, I have positioned you for greatness. I have prepared you for influence. I have anointed you for impact. The world is waiting for the manifestation of my power through you. The attention you give to God now is not trivial. It is the ignition of a chain reaction that will transform your life, influence generations, and bring glory to the name of God. There comes a moment in every life when you realize that God's plan is far greater than your understanding. That moment is now. God says, stop trying to figure everything out on your own. Stop relying on the wisdom of the world. Stop being limited by human reasoning. I am God. My plans are higher than your thoughts. My ways are beyond your comprehension, and my power is limitless. You must watch this before anything else, because the moment you give me your full attention, the path I have prepared will be revealed and nothing will be able to stand against you. Do you feel the weight of disappointment, the burden of past mistakes, the frustration of waiting for doors that have yet to open? God sees it all. God knows every silent tear, every unanswered question, every restless night. But God says, do not despair. Do not lose hope. Do not give in to fear. I am here. I am at work. I am orchestrating every detail of your life. And what has been delayed is not denied. What has been hindered is not cancelled. What has been postponed is not forgotten. I am God, and I am faithful to fulfill every promise I have spoken over you. There is a power that awakens when you give God your undivided attention. It is a power that breaks chains, that shatters limitations, that destroys fear, and that releases provision. God says, when you stop looking at the obstacles and start looking at me, when you stop relying on your strength and start relying on my power, when you stop doubting and start believing, I will move in ways that no one can explain and no one can prevent. This is the moment to align yourself fully, to prepare your spirit, to open your heart wide, and to receive what God is ready to pour into your life. Many of you have been trying to force doors open that God has not yet opened. You have been striving in your own strength, exhausting your energy, and becoming frustrated with the pace of life. But God says, stop forcing, stop striving, stop worrying. I am God. I move when the time is right. I act when the moment is perfect. I bless when the heart is ready. Your breakthrough is not about your effort alone. It is about your alignment with me. Understand this, obedience to God's timing is more powerful than your own effort. Patience in the presence of God is more effective than any human strategy. Faith in the unseen is more transformative than fear of the visible. God's plan for your life is not ordinary, it is supernatural. It is extraordinary. It is designed to reveal His glory through your journey. God says, I have placed purpose inside you that cannot be ignored, power inside you that cannot be contained, and destiny inside you that cannot be denied. You were created for significance, for influence, for impact. The attention you give me now determines the magnitude of what I will accomplish through you. Every step you take in alignment with God, every moment you dedicate to focus on His voice, every act of faith you perform unlocks levels of blessing, wisdom, and revelation that are beyond measure. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop measuring your life by human standards. God says, I do not call you to follow the path of another. I do not call you to imitate success. I do not call you to live by human expectation. I have designed your journey specifically for you. I have written your story with detail, precision, and purpose. Every struggle, every victory, every lesson has been placed to shape you into the person I have called you to be. You are unique. Your destiny is unique. Your assignment is unique. And when you recognize that God is orchestrating every element of your life, fear will fade, doubt will disappear, and confidence in God will rise. Do you understand the importance of faith? Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is not passive. Faith is active, alive, and potent. God says, faith opens doors. Faith moves mountains. Faith releases miracles. Faith activates what is already written in my word. Faith positions your life to receive the blessings I have prepared. The moment you trust God fully, the moment you surrender completely, the moment you believe without reservation, the impossible begins to bend before you. God's power is not limited by circumstance. God's provision is not restricted by appearance. God's promise is not bound by time. God's attention to your life is constant. God sees everything. God knows everything. God orchestrates everything. There is not a single moment in your life that is too small for God to notice, too complex for God to handle, or too impossible for God to overcome. God says, I am with you. I am for you. I am working on your behalf. Trust in me, for I have a plan that cannot fail. I have a purpose that cannot be denied. I have a blessing that cannot be stolen. I have a destiny that cannot be altered by any force in heaven or on earth. Now is the time to rise above the distractions that have held you back. Now is the time to reject the fear that has bound you. Now is the time to embrace the power, the wisdom, and the provision that God has placed within your reach. God says, do not delay, do not resist, do not doubt. The moment you align with me fully, the path will be revealed, the blessing will be released, and the miracle will manifest. This is your moment. This is your season. This is your opportunity to walk in the fullness of what I have promised. Your life has eternal significance. Your calling is divinely appointed. Your destiny is orchestrated by God Himself. God says, I have set you apart. I have called you to greatness. I have anointed you for impact. I have prepared you for influence. The world is waiting for the manifestation of my power through you. Do not delay. Do not waste time. Do not settle for less than the fullness of my will. I am God, and I am ready to act in your favor. Every trial, every challenge, every delay has a purpose. God says, do not despise the waiting. Do not resent the struggle. Do not fear the storm. I am shaping you. I am preparing you. I am equipping you. The pain is temporary, but the glory I am about to release is eternal. The suffering is for a season, but the breakthrough is forever. You have been through enough. You have waited long enough. You have prayed faithfully enough. And now God is saying, receive, walk in faith. Step into your destiny. Do not let this moment pass without obedience, without attention, without complete trust in me. Now is the moment to rise. Now is the moment to awaken. God has called you, God has prepared you, and God has positioned you for a life of purpose, power, and eternal significance. The trials you have endured were not in vain. The struggles you have faced were not to break you, but to build you. The waiting you have endured was not to punish you, but to prepare you for the fullness of what God has ordained. Every obstacle, every delay, every challenge has been orchestrated by God to ensure that when your breakthrough comes, it is complete, undeniable, and transformative. God says, do not let fear bind you. Do not let doubt distract you. Do not let the world define you. I am God, and I am greater than every circumstance, stronger than every chain, and faithful to fulfill every promise I have spoken over your life. Today, you have been reminded that your attention, your obedience, your faith, and your surrender are not trivial. They are sacred acts that unlock the supernatural. When you give God your full focus, when you align your spirit fully, when you act in faith, the power of God flows through every area of your life. Nothing can stop it. Nothing can oppose it. Nothing can withhold it. Stand now in the authority of God's promise. Declare within yourself that fear will no longer dominate, doubt will no longer linger, and limitation will no longer define your path. You are positioned for victory. You are prepared for breakthrough. You are destined for glory. God's plan is unstoppable. His timing is perfect, and His power is unmatched. The life you have been waiting for, the provision you have been praying for, the purpose you have been seeking, they are all within reach because God has said so, and God's word never fails. Do not delay, do not resist, do not hesitate. Lift your eyes, open your heart, and step boldly into the destiny God has written for you. Align your mind with His wisdom, your spirit with His will, and your actions with His purpose. The blessings that God has promised are ready to manifest. The miracles that God has prepared are ready to appear. The power of God that has been working silently behind the scenes is ready to move mightily in your life. This is your moment. This is your season. God has spoken. God has declared. God has prepared. The question now is simple. Will you respond? Will you give your attention fully, your faith unshakably, your obedience completely, and your life wholly to God? Do this, and you will experience a transformation so profound that the world around you cannot ignore it. Your destiny, your purpose, your calling, all will align with the power, the wisdom, and the glory of God. Rise now, walk in faith. Step into the fullness of God's plan. The life of victory, provision, and divine favor that God has promised is not a distant dream. It is a present reality for those who obey, believe, and surrender. God sees you. God calls you. God empowers you. Nothing can stop what God has ordained for you. Today, hear the voice of God. Respond with unwavering faith and embrace the destiny that awaits you. The time is now. The power is here. The blessing is yours.